Okay. So, I messed up. Take two. The camera stopped recording like 10 minutes ago. We missed an awesome conversation. So we're going to pick up where we left off, hopefully, and get more nuggets from Naomi. I'm sorry.
It's alright.
We had just been chatting. You were saying about the kind of moments you realised you were unhappy with things, and then you kind of expanded from that. So
Yeah. So we were basically saying that like something that's important for you is the power of choice, and I was sort of reiterating that yes, the power of choice, like that we can kind of almost develop a self-awareness around what choices we have, and then also like the power to create the causes and conditions to make those choices a little bit easier on ourselves. So if that's something simple like, you know, setting up a room that you can exercise in the morning or meditate or have like almost like a treat like coffee or tea ready to go, so when you get up it doesn't feel so like stoic or something, that maybe it feels a little bit more amenable, and your choice is now, you know, helping you, but also it's not a massive transition of like discipline and hardship or whatever. So yeah,
I think David was chatting to me yesterday, and we said like our willpower is finite essentially, like you can't just
exactly
so don't give yourself the need to make those choices. Or
exactly.
You had spoken about how marvelous your husband is, and the transition from kind of being a school teacher and then realizing you were unhappy and that you wanted to make some changes. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that for everyone?
Like, so again, Neil being the amazing influence, he got me a book the year I was going to do the teacher training first, a yoga book, and I remember just eating it up. Like that summer, every day I was at, like we were away in France, and I would just sit in the grass and read the book and highlight a million sentences and practice all the movements that were in the book, and like it just was a huge kind of, I think that was my first sort of book that felt like yoga philosophy, and then kind of tying it into you're actually feeling your body and your breath, and like that whole idea of wow, I can do all the things I love, like exercise, teaching, contemplating, all packaged in one like little bubble. Like that felt like amazing to me. And then it definitely sparked like that instigator of maybe there is potential for me or possibility outside school teaching.
Did that come after leaving the school teaching job?
No, I was still in. Okay. So I basically did my yoga teacher training while I was still a school teacher, and then I worked for another year teaching 2 classes in the evenings while I was still a school teacher, and then I took the plunge.
Cool.
So yeah.
It sounds this way, but you can tell me, it sounds like the happiest period came after your unhappy period. Is that fair to say, or what was the happiest period?
Yeah, it's interesting because I actually, like this question, like happiest period is, I think what I learn more and more is it's all the feelings all the time. So that in some of those periods, like some of the happiest moments with Neil was like when we were doing a lot, like we had a lot of summer times off together. Like he was also a school teacher for 2 years, so we had like all the Easter holidays, the midterms, the summers, and like for 2 years straight we were just constantly going on climbing trips. So they were like, you know, our whole focus was climbing. We were always in different countries, you know, doing something, but at the same time I was quite stressed career-wise and kind of trying to figure that out, and maybe like a sort of a personal turmoil of, oh, where am I going, what am I doing, but also very happy in my lifestyle choices. So yeah, it's always a mishmash, I think.
I think like what's not to be sought is balance but harmony. I think that's fair to say, and that life is just this, and it's not balanced, it's always back and forth. I think embracing that is a huge part of what would make us fulfilled or happy, and just realizing like the work is never done. There's always other stuff, so like you're not trying to just get stuff done and then life is just happy after that. We don't work and then retire. So
it's like the question, like if someone was to meet you on the street and say, you know, oh my God, it's amazing, you've a daughter, like are you happy every single moment? You'd be like, well, it's a little more complex than that. So yeah, it's just a mix all the time, and of course you love your daughter, you know, but it's going to be the night before that person meets you on the street, you could have been, oh, she was, you know, up all night giving out or something, you know. So it's just always complex, like, and I think that's more realistic to acknowledge those things, like that, I'm all the things all the time. It's more realistic.
The beautiful struggle. And I think like a couple of things that stick out to me there was like you had time you had your husband who you love very much, you had experiences, you were getting challenged together, and you were growing into a space, and you were kind of meeting the challenges there, but kind of seeing like, well, this is me, like, and I'll fight for this, you know, which is different to being 9 to 5 every day and unhappy with what you're doing, and then kind of shackled by the system you're in. Like the same hours, the X amount of things, of this amount of people coming in the door, and I can only teach a curriculum, I can't get my voice out. So I think for someone like you who has something to share and be able to help people, I think that's when you start to realise, like, yes, I'll get up at 5 a.m. like 8 days in a row for this, whatever it may be.
Well, that's it, and I think like it's so interesting. Like, I think there's an impression that, like, you know, maybe transitioning to self-employed, like, you know, I'll just loll around the place all the time now, and like, you know, I'll have all these holidays or whatever. And I think you can, of course, like, even I've gotten to a period in my working life that I can create more time off, and I can go for a sea swim on a Monday morning or do whatever I want, really. And it just depends what effort you want to put in. And what I actually notice with the work of my work now, like the actual have to sit at a computer or create something, I would happily, like this morning, I'm up at like 5 tapping out stuff, because it's kind of like I have to get it done, but also I want to get it done. Like, I don't mind, because it means later on today I can go climbing and I don't have to worry about it. Like, yeah, so it's kind of like I for a second might think, oh, is this a bit weird, you know, doing this so early? But then also it's like, oh yeah, but I kind of don't mind. Like, it doesn't faze me to want to do it. Whereas I suppose if you're working for someone else, I think you can get into a feeling of, I'm doing this for someone else. And that's the big shift in thinking for me. Like, of course I'm doing things for other people to kind of serve or offer, but I'm not a slave to what I'm doing right now. I'm choosing to do it. Like, I want to do it. If I don't want to do it, I won't do it. Like,
of course, yeah. And it's a bold step to take, because very often you probably see, I mean, Neil sounds super supportive. Like, I know a few of us business owners can have like our partners or friends looking at us like, what are you doing? You're meant to be working. I was like, you don't know what I'm doing. Or if me lying down is mental space, or it's creative space, or if I'm working until 9 tonight, like, you know, it's a weird thing of people always have this thing, you should be just go. That's so not the case. Like, you burn out. You learn these things. Like, I spent like 2 or 3 years constantly sick off just feeling the need to go. So I think you earn the right to take that time off and be smart about it. And it does take a grind.
Definitely.
No joke. But I think understanding that you should shape it that way is very smart. Like taking Thursdays off with my daughter and stuff like that. If I don't make it a thing, then I'll just work and I'll just fill the space.
Definitely.
It's the hardest
Absolutely.
thing. The hardest thing to silence that voice.
Definitely.
Let's go back to yoga a little bit, and I want to get your opinion on how the culture is. I think a lot of things are kind of integrated, from like movement culture to fitness to yoga, and everything's starting to merge a little bit more, but they're all their own distinct things. What is your general thoughts on the state of yoga culture? Any thoughts?
So I think, like you were asking earlier, like what shaped me or what helped shape, and like there's always going to be different influences. But I think in terms of yoga and the way I teach and the way I practice or I see it, is that like I came from a physical education training in university. So I studied like biomechanics and anatomy and all the sports, like soccer, rugby, you know, netball, whatever it was. We did everything, adventure sports, swimming, all of that. So my, you know, formative, like say professional training was 4 years of like, you know, all those experiences in my body and all those experiences of how to teach, or like, you know, how to kind of devise lesson plans, like all of that kind of stuff. So I came from that background, then worked in that. And then when I started climbing, there was the influence of like training, so physically training and learning how to program and like what's smart and all that kind of stuff. So as soon as I started to teach yoga, like a lot of that element of you know, physical training and what's smart and what's intelligent was so ingrained in me already. And it's interesting that like the yoga culture is opening up to that now, like the sort of physical focus is shifting to, oh, maybe we need to take on board more modern anatomy approaches or more like interesting movement approaches to our physical experiences, as opposed to maybe the traditional approaches of like hatha, which would be take a pose, hold it for a certain amount of breaths, same in Ashtanga, and then move to the next pose. And a lot of the physical approaches in yoga, I suppose traditionally, like it wasn't necessarily considered like equilibrium in the body. So it was like, maybe lots of forward bending and lots of stretching in general, like for want of a better word, whereas there may have been less of strengthening, conditioning, strengthening the posterior chain of the body, any of that kind of stuff. Like they just didn't think about it. And it's not because they were like wrong or evil or we need to demonize, oh my god, all the old yoga people didn't have a clue. It's just they didn't know. And it's the exact same in climbing. I'm sure you saw it in like basketball or anything. Like everything always learns. Like, coaches will go 1 year, oh god, we used this strategy or this drill last year and that was a flop, let's do it different this year. And like that's how I see it with yoga. Like they were literally sitting in meditative positions in caves like thousands of years ago going, what is the mind? Like, what is life and why are we here? And then, they were kind of saying, oh, maybe if we meditate, we'll discover some sort of inner answer. And then, along came some other yogis and said, oh, maybe we should move as well. And then maybe we should do, look at our diet. And like, it just keeps evolving. And like the realm we're in now where it's like, oh, maybe we should learn from Western science and maybe we should take this on board. Like, it's just another step. And I think it's brilliant. Like, I think all of that, as long as we keep learning, is amazing. I suppose sometimes I see people demonize the past or, trying to make their stamp, like you were saying earlier, maybe with a brand or maybe with trying to find their footing as a teacher, like demonizing what has gone before. But I don't see that we need to do that. We can kind of respect, we're standing on their shoulders. Yeah. If they didn't exist, we wouldn't be here. So yeah, that's kind of how I see the culture a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's nice, like you're saying, it ticks a lot of boxes with the introspection, the getting in tune with your own breath and your own body, all that stuff. For you, that was like a game changer. It was like, oh my god, I can actually start to learn me.
Yes,
yeah, and at the same time, I don't think any one discipline fulfills things. So like people who do CrossFit as a sport do CrossFit as a sport.
Yes.
They won't necessarily think about accessorizing the weak points. People who climb might just climb as a sport. They may not train climbing or train accessory or antagonist movements.
And that's the funniest thing, because like tying into that yoga culture, I suppose what I was trying to say with me having these different experiences, I think you get a broader perspective, and not that any's right or wrong, but you can suddenly start to join the dots and go, all right, okay, climbing does it this way, yoga does it this way, like movement studios do it this way, and you kind of take it all on board to form a kind of personal opinion. Oh, I find this helpful. Whereas I think what kind of tends to happen in, say, the CrossFit model or the yoga kind of bubble is that if you go straight to that and that's your first experience of, maybe experiencing your body moving or experiencing like yourself, that it can feel that like you feel so much benefit that I think what I see happens is you feel so much benefit and this sense of bliss that you suddenly think that's the only answer. Yeah. And then if someone attacks yoga, maybe you get defensive and you say, no, yoga's the best, I felt this, this and this. Or if someone offers, oh, maybe you could do a little bit of strength, and it's like, no, yoga doesn't do it that way. Yeah. And that's sometimes what I see can happen. And it's not necessarily that we need to change everything, or we think we need to change, oh, yoga was bad and now I want to make it good. It's that we can almost just embrace like all different facets of learning or different facets of looking at things.
Yeah, it's interesting. There are a couple of ways to look at it. I think, at least from my experiences, like it's beautiful to be like in something, like one thing where you're going to bed at night, think about, you're waking up in the morning, think about it, and you're just like, I'm going to learn everything I need to know about this and experience all the things, good and bad. and then say, okay, I'll take that with me. And maybe as a teacher, that's more important than a normal person who's just training or whatever. Yeah, and it might be an age thing as well, where you do that and then you do that and you love this and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. I think in the end, like, there are a couple of things that are undeniable in my opinion, and the body keeps the score. Yeah. Is a thing I believe as well. And so I think the more things kind of integrated, the more we realize it's about the human and the human body and kind of our general sense of well-being. Is like, at some stage, if you're going hard all the time, you're going to realize that you need to calm down and do some more restorative stuff. Likewise, if all you're doing is the flippy floppy stuff, maybe it's good to strengthen up. And again, it's all super subjective. I don't think it's for us to say you should do this, but in the general sense of well-being, being strong is always a nice thing. Expressing yourself, moving your body is always a nice thing. Having space is a nice thing. Having quiet is a nice thing. You know, working hard and feeling that, even if it's a falsified sense of like mental fortitude and training that you don't get elsewhere, fine. Not sitting down all day is a good thing. Like, you know, all these.
And I think like that's a thing with what a space yoga can provide is an opportunity, because it's maybe an environment that's a little more introspective, it's a little quieter than maybe a gym environment or that kind of thing. You get a certain amount of time to maybe ask yourself, like, how's all this working out for me? Like, how do I feel? And like, if we start getting little moments of that, like, you know, I kind of feel anxious or I kind of feel frustrated, you get glimmers of maybe just pumping iron isn't doing it for me all the time. And likewise, you know, maybe like just doing stretching or just doing certain postures isn't working for me. I feel a little bit weak and I feel distracted, or it could be anything. And it's kind of, you maybe get moments to go, oh yeah, like this other thing could help me, or like it feels like it could add benefit. And I think that's the power of those maybe moments of quiet within a yoga realm. And I don't know necessarily any other medium that provides that kind of quietness. Like, you know, there's lots of ways we can, you know, maybe going for a walk or something like that, but like in the realm of like teacher student or groups or whatever, like I personally think that's the kind of power of a yoga atmosphere. Just like, just kind of get to wander in my thoughts a little bit, or not think and then realize something, that kind of thing. Cool. Yeah.
Yoga on Instagram.
I think it's
double check this again, just in case. We are still good. Thank you.
Like, I suppose my personal thing with anything in life is I see Instagram and it's like alcohol. You can have so many pubs around town. It doesn't mean we all are alcoholics, or we all go into pubs, and doesn't mean we're all alcoholics. You can have one drink and go, okay, that's enough for me, I'm out of here now. And I think it's the same with Instagram. It's like everything we're saying with the power of choice and awareness. If you're using it and it's like, this feels great, like I connected to 3 people today and I met like this new friend and I shared a video and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's an amazing tool. If you find like after 2 hours, like I'm still scrolling, I feel negative and triggered, and I'm reading kind of stories I feel a bit sad about now, like, then it's not a good tool. Like, so it's kind of noticing your power of choice. Like, is it adding to my life? Is it providing benefit? Or is it taking from my time or connecting to people or whatever? And then yoga on Instagram, like, you know, I think everything is learning. And like, this is one thing, you know, Neil as well is interested in, like technology and trends and whatever. Like, us particularly, we're the generation that like didn't have it, and now we have it. So we're kind of like learning on it. Whereas I think if you actually stopped any 13-year-old, 14-year-old on the street now, they'd have no issue with this stuff because they're kind of used to it, or they know it's just so familiar to them. Whereas it's actually more our generation was kind of struggling with, what is this and how do I use it, and kind of making more mistakes maybe through the learning process. So yeah, maybe that happens. Yoga teachers trying to find their feet or figure out like, who am I and what am I supposed to say, and then saying things that maybe you know, aren't necessarily genuine to them, but maybe they think they have to say, and it's all just learning. Like, it's not good or bad necessarily. Fair. Yeah.
Do you like where yoga's heading? So for me, like, I see like the likes of hip hop yoga, and I'm like, it's quite good actually. And like power yoga and different styles of yoga where it's not the traditional jobby, but it offers a lot for people in different contexts on any given day or whatever like that. Do you like that and where it's heading, and where do you think it's heading as well?
I think, you know, do whatever makes you happy. Like, we on the training this year, the teacher training, there was one day, one of the girls was a qualified Zumba instructor, and, you know, we'd had a few heavy days of learning, and I just said, hey, do you want to do Zumba with us for like half an hour? And she took the whole group and she taught us Zumba, and I'd never done it before, and it really reminded me of like child of the 90s, like aerobics and like that kind of thing. And I just love that stuff because it's just like mess, laugh, there's no coordination, do whatever you want, throw on live music. And I kind of like that, like, also way to be in my body and be around people. And I love watching people in choreographed settings. I just find it really funny. So yeah, all the things, and if it makes you happy, do it. Like, brilliant. That's my answer.
Fair. There's a nice little task that I like to mull over every now and again, and it's basically creating like a 1-star experience all the way up to 11. So I think I can kind of play around with it with you as well, but let's say your ideal yoga experience, so not necessarily a studio, not necessarily a retreat, like whatever, but we start from 1-star being like I turned up and actually there was nobody there, all the way up to like a 5-star experience, which is generally the pinnacle, and then we'll just go a little bit more and just kind of let our imagination run wild. So from 1,
so for yoga, if you were giving it a stars experience, I almost would look at this question as to what the person, the participant, the client, the student is experiencing. So what are they experiencing? That's how I kind of see that question. And then, so like you say, 1-star would be, it's written on the internet to be on a certain time, you rock up at that location and there's no one there, it's closed and nothing happens. So that's like 1-star. It's not even 1-star, it's like no star. So then to kind of go from that to 5,
up to 2, all the way up.
So 2, someone's there. 3, when 3, it's on time.
Okay.
And someone's there.
do you think 3 is the general experience? Because not all places are 5-star. So like, talk a little bit more about what the general experience of yoga might be.
So yeah, so someone's there. It's scheduled on time, like it was proposed to be. We're at 3 stars, so it's in a room that's clean, and it's in the general theme of I'm going to either move, meditate, do some breathing practices, or relax. Okay. So it's in the general realm of that, let's say.
And so 4 will probably fill the gaps, but what's 3 missing that 4 offers then?
So 3 is missing what 4 offers. 4 now is going more towards, so the student experiencing like, the teacher kind of spoke about a specific theme that they thought about and reflected on, and they gave me a specific instruction that felt very relevant to the theme. So say the theme is like, today we're focusing on shoulders, and then a lot of the movements were shoulder focused, and I actually learned something new about my shoulders today. So that's like 4.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
5?
So then 5, I would say in yoga, they provide mats. Like I turned up, I forgot my mat, and they said, it's okay, we have mats. And you're like, great. So that's an extra star. Also, the teacher would have like another maybe unique quality that's like memorable, that like you feel like as a student like, cool, like they told me something I'd never even realized about yoga before, like maybe something like that.
Cool. Okay. 6.
So as we go up the stairs, so maybe more than go like numerical, I feel like what I'll do is I'll just keep adding in a little bit. So it's like, so I suppose, like, for me, what I feel, it starts going more towards time as well. Like, so when I'm a participant, the stars start going up for me when I get more time to process and feel something. So if it's longer than an hour, if it's more like a workshop or it's a retreat, and then stars are going up because I'm feeling like I'm getting more time to learn whatever it is we're delving into or processing. So yeah, time would definitely be extended going up the stairs. And then in the greeting, the teacher is like making eye contact. They're like friendly when you walk in, and it's not always a given. But that they salute you, like say hello, all those kind of things. That they're make sure to kind of communicate clear instructions to everyone throughout like the whole experience, and no one gets injured. That also gets another star. It's safe, and like you can't always prevent against injuries because everyone's different and they come in with different things, but that instructions don't lead to something like maybe that's kind of questionable, like anatomically. So it's like safe instruction and clear. And then like going all the way up towards 11 is that like...
Still on 7 at the moment.
Yeah, no, I'm going. I've added in loads. No. But like going up is like that that it becomes very clear that the teacher has dedicated a significant amount of time to reading, spending time experiencing themselves, like what it is exactly they're teaching. Okay. So it's not like by rote, like a learned script, or it's not maybe what I said last month because I haven't learned anything new in between that could maybe have relevance for the people here. So it's all those little kind of soft skills, I think, and that like I think it's something maybe that's neglected in our kind of quick nature culture, that it takes time to process things and to really embody. This is so obvious and lived to me that it's second nature to say it. Yeah. And I think teachers need to refine that a little bit so it's less of, oh, well, I heard someone else say this, so I'm going to say it. And I think everyone can feel that straight away. Like spidey senses turn on when you realise, I don't think they know what they're talking about. Like, so I think that definitely adds stars in the experience. Like the best experiences I've had that would go up to 11 for me as a participant is all those elements. Experienced teacher, you can feel it from them. You don't have to know the content. Time, we had a lot of time to delve into things. Space is created where it's not necessarily filled with words by the teacher. They're just providing a space to facilitate your experience. And, like it doesn't necessarily, for me personally, have to be, it was a really fancy location or, we got super food smoothies afterwards. It doesn't have to be that for me. Okay. To me, it's quality of what I got to experience as a student. And that's basically, and like care and dedication from the teacher.
So depth and connection. I'll just take this again. Back to my lovely smartphone camera. Yay, 20 again. Cool. Well, so what I find interesting there is, you're looking for depth and connection. You're almost kind of painting a picture of a class size where you're getting attention. So whatever that looks like after. But it also just strikes me that all you're actually looking for is what you should be getting in the class.
Yes, exactly.
That's experience. I think that's a 4 to 5 star experience. As in, if I turn up to class, I want all those things. Yeah. Why wouldn't you? Like,
and I think it's so interesting because I'll go to lots of different kinds of classes and lots of different kinds of experiences, and not even necessarily in yoga. Like it might be a fitness thing or whatever. And it's like by far and away the most memorable is when I'm like, oh my God, they actually said hello, or they remembered me from the last time, or, they asked me about my tweaky knee or whatever I had mentioned. Like, you feel at home in that place. And I don't think that's a given for lots of people. I think it's overlooked by so many people. And I think what also can happen, and it takes time for teachers to find their seat or their confidence. But I think what can happen is, I see it so often, is nerves and self-consciousness drive someone into themselves as a teacher, and they forget to see people, and they literally aren't looking at people, they're not connecting with someone who's maybe half falling over, or really has a need, or they're saying really generic instruction that really isn't helping everybody in the room, and it's because they're nervous, or because they're like maybe self-conscious of saying the wrong thing. And I think that just takes time for teachers to feel and go, oh, actually, yeah, it's not about me. I need to look at who's here and go, oh, how are you doing, or whatever. So yeah,
and that's because it happens in the fitness industry as well. It's definitely a cultural thing of like, you can get certified, probably not as quickly in yoga, but you still have to grow as a teacher and all that. So you should have a smaller platform where you can start to get those little,
exactly,
get the kinks bit by bit as well. So I think being thrown into a class of 40 and 50 people, being paid very little for it, is not the right place for those people's experience, but also you as a teacher to actually get your art out. Because I think I'm big on this as well. Is like, I think great coaching is an art. Therefore, us as coaches are artists. And so having the space to actually get your voice out and paint your picture of what you believe a yoga practice is, or how to make that person happy in the moment for the rest of the day, leaving them smiling. It is an art, and it's very personal, and all the things you spoke about are like consistency, care, attention, connection. So that's your 5-star experience. By talking about the other stuff, you've actually painted the 2 or 1-star experience by saying, but that's what I don't want.
Exactly. So
you start saying, paint the picture a little bit easier. I'm like, okay, well, this is a little bit more like what we're talking about. Cool.
Definitely.
2 more questions. If there was one thing you could share with every single person you met, so if 10 people walked in the door, 1 was 15, 1 was 52, 1 was 70, 1 was big, small, whatever. If there was one thing you could share that you knew each person needed, whether it was an item, whether it was a quote, whether it was a book, or whatever it may be, what do you think you would give or share with people? No pressure.
Yeah, I think obviously you could say 50 things. If I was to pick one, like I was held up against the wall and you're like, no, you're only allowed to pick one. I think I would say go outside.
Okay.
Just go outside. And I think not in, a busy street. Find a park if you live in the city, go near the sea, or, if you can get up to mountains, or spend at least, I know everyone's lives are busy, but at least an hour in your week outside. Okay. Uninterrupted, and you can walk, sit, whatever. And I think, if everyone did that, there's going to be some benefit. Ripple effect to just the peace and quiet, the connection to nature, that influence of fresh air, space, all of that, I just think is so powerful. And you could be like homeless and say, yeah, I'm outside all the time, but it's different. Like, it's like, again, power of choice. The power of choosing, I'm going to be outside rather than being forced to be outside. It's a different way to be there. Like, and I think even if you're homeless and you say, oh, I'm actually going to sit in the park for an hour today, that's your choosing. You're choosing to be outside, as opposed to, I have to, maybe go to the road and do my rounds to get money or whatever it is. So yeah, I think be outside is what I'd say.
Cool. And what I think is the last question, or at least it's the part 1 of the last question, is at age 50 or age 60 or whatever, do you see yourself still teaching classes? Do you see yourself perhaps running a business from the background where you've grown other people to spread your message? Or do you see yourself retired, traveling the world, going back to that happy time with Neil?
Exactly.
Looking slightly into the future, like if you can't picture it, but what is your aim, or what do you think will make you happy?
Like, I think this is, if I was allowed to do a second thing I'd recommend to everyone, is to actually answer this question all the time. And I do look at this question almost yearly and regularly, kind of, where am I going, what am I doing, like, what's the big picture? And even I said to Neil the other day, in 5 years, I'll have worked 20 years of my career. Like, I started at a certain age, I'm not going to say my age, and then so I'll have worked 20 years of my working life. And if you chunked that, if I was looking at that at one phase, like, what do I want the second 20 years to be towards retirement or whatever? And it's just really interesting, reflection to undertake. So my answer would be that I would still love to be involved in teaching. I definitely feel there's, as I mature, I'm not going to be able to sustain physically like a certain amount of physical workload in my teaching. but I definitely think I could continue teaching up until retirement. So whatever age that is, 60 plus, like it might be meditation, or it might be more lecturing, or, you know, the training type things. But I think avenues of teaching, I'd like to have them always there. I would like to include some sort of like location business in the mountains, and me and Neil just sit there and like people come and we interact. I would love that. We went to New Zealand when we were traveling, and we stayed with this family. They were kind of running like a campsite kind of thing, and I feel like that's my dream idea of not a campsite, but like a retreat location, or like a, I don't know, I haven't fully formed the exact image, but like a location base where people can come, but maybe it's a bit more in nature, like outside the city. Cool. I think that would be the ultimate dream. So, yeah.
Cool. Nice. Quickly before we move on, we talk about kind of into your 60s and 70s, whatever it may be. Do you feel like you have a sustainable practice where you can keep moving like 3 times a week or whatever like that? I think it's what you do has longevity in it.
Yeah, I think so. And I see it with my mom. Like my mom can still full squat and like still dances and goes for walks all the time. And I think if you just keep it up, you keep it like. Cool. And I think that I would like to be like that, like still doing all my little mobility exercises, and yeah, like I think no reason why not.
Yeah. So I suppose lastly, is there anything you'd like to talk about or add, or anything you'd like to ask me, or whatever it may be, or tell people to finish off?
To tell people to finish off, yeah, go outside and move. That's my final words of wisdom. Sure. And thank you very much for having me here. It's been great.
Genuinely, thank you very much. I think it's been an honour having you as the first person. You've always been tremendous and nice to me. Yeah. And yeah, I think there's a lot of gold in that as well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, folks. You.
Well done. Yay. Cheers, my dear. Thank you kindly.
Hey. Hope I wasn't blabbing too much.